All right, let's talk about capitalism. It's the engine that runs our world, right? But for a lot of us, it kind of feels like we're not the ones in the driver's seat. So in this explainer, we're going to pop the hood, take a look at the owner's manual, and try to figure out why that is and what could be coming down the road.
There's this Japanese term, ikizurasa, which basically means a deep difficulty in living. It captures that feeling perfectly. In a world that has so much, why can things feel so hard? That feeling, right there, that's our starting point for this whole journey. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the big picture. What exactly is global capitalism? Then we'll dig into something called the crisis of desire. From there, we'll look at the future of work, jump into the huge debate around basic income, and wrap it all up by asking a pretty fundamental question. How do we redefine what a rich life really is?
Okay, first things first. To even begin to understand that difficulty in living feeling, we've got to get a handle on the huge economic system we're all a part of, whether we realize it or not.
So what is it? Well, you can think of global capitalism as having two main engines. First, you've got capital, money, that can zip across the globe in a split second, always hunting for the biggest profit. And second, you have massive corporations that operate all over the world to find the cheapest way to make things and the most people to sell them to.
Now, this system didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was built piece by piece over the last century. You had big moments like the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II, the oil crisis in the 70s, the deregulation push in the 80s, and then the fall of the Soviet Union. Each step connected the world's economies a little bit more, leading to the hyper-connected system we have today.
But here's the paradox. As we've gotten richer in terms of stuff, a lot of people feel, well, poorer in spirit. It's like the more we have, the less we feel we are. Let's unpack that.
The economist John K. Galbraith had this brilliant insight. He called it the dependence effect. The idea is that our wants aren't really our wants anymore. Through a constant barrage of advertising and marketing, corporations actually create the desires that their products then rush in to satisfy. It's a loop.
And the psychoanalyst Erich Fromm took it a step further. He said we've become obsessed with a to-have way of life, all about owning and possessing things. And in the process, we've forgotten how to just be, how to focus on our existence, our experiences, our relationships. And get this, the philosopher Kohei Kokubun argues this has now seeped into our free time. Our leisure is no longer just ours. It's become another market where we're sold prepackaged fun. It turns our most precious resource, our time, into just another thing to be consumed.
This whole crisis of desire, it spills right over into our 9-to-5s. It's deeply connected to how we work. So, what if we could imagine a different future for labor?
For so many people today, especially in service jobs, work has become what we call emotional labor. You know the feeling, having to be cheerful, caring, and attentive, no matter how you actually feel inside. Your own emotions become part of the product, and that can be incredibly draining.
But some really fascinating new ideas are bubbling up, especially out of Japan. There's a push to move away from the old idea of work as service to a company, where you're just a company member. The new idea? Thinking of it as my work, using your job and its resources to pursue your own goals, and seeing yourself first as a member of society. It's a huge shift in perspective, and this is where technology, like AI, could be a real game changer. What if AI isn't the enemy coming to take our jobs? What if it's our digital colleague, taking over the boring, repetitive stuff so we humans can focus on what we do best: creativity, strategic thinking, and empathy?
So if work itself is on the verge of a massive change, what about the money we get from it? This brings us to one of the biggest, most controversial ideas out there today: basic income. On the surface, the idea is incredibly simple. The government gives every single citizen a regular check to cover their basic needs. No questions asked, no strings attached. It's a powerful vision for sure, but the practical side of it gets complicated fast.
Let's just look at the raw numbers from a very detailed study done in Japan. The total estimated cost per year for a pretty modest basic income plan, a mind-boggling 145 trillion yen.
That's a lot of zeros.
So, the big question is, how on earth do you pay for that? Well, the study found you could get about 99 trillion yen by cutting a bunch of existing social programs. But as you can see, that still leaves you with a massive 45.5 trillion yen hole to fill. And to close that gap, you'd need to hike the consumption tax by a whopping 21.7%. That is a tough pill to swallow.
Because those numbers are so huge, the debate often pivots to more gradual, targeted ideas. Instead of a full universal basic income that goes to everyone, you have things like refundable tax credits. Think of it as a negative income tax. It's a system that just tops up the income of the people who fall below a certain line. It's a much more focused approach.
And it's not just an all-or-nothing debate either. People are floating all sorts of creative, hybrid ideas. What about a small basic income plus other kinds of rewards? Maybe non-cash benefits like discounts on healthcare or education for people in really essential jobs. The conversation is getting a lot more nuanced.
And you know, all these debates about money and work, they're really pointing to something much deeper. This isn't just about tweaking a policy here or there. It's about what we as a society decide is truly valuable.
Even the famous management guru Peter Drucker, who is a huge champion of capitalism for most of his life, started to change his tune. He came to believe that the nonprofit world, which is driven by purpose, not just profit, actually held the key to building a better, freer society.
Which brings us right back to where we started. The answer to that difficulty of living probably isn't a single policy. The real challenge is to completely redefine what it means to live a rich life. Maybe it's not about having more stuff. Maybe it's about having more time, stronger communities, and a deeper sense of purpose.
So, at the end of the day, this question isn't just for the economists and the philosophers. It's for every single one of us. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What does a rich life truly mean to you?